The deaths of George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks have reignited conversations about racism, unfairness, and the relationship between Blacks and cops. That's also the subject of a more personal talk African American parents have had with their kids for years.
My parents had it with me and my sister. My husband's parents had it with him, and all of our friends. We know that when you mention the talk, you're referring to the conversation you have about interacting with law enforcement.
Sonia Whitaker Gregg of Tulsa has since felt the need to extend this talk to her sons.
Make sure your hands are visible. Don't put them in your pockets. You can't reach for anything. The key, the objective, is for you to come home alive.
Gregg first shared this message when they were younger. She recalled telling the boys why they even needed to be cautious playing with their water guns.
We had to tell them that they could only play with their water guns in the backyard. They couldn't play with them in the front yard. They could not leave our yard and go to someone else's house with these water guns because of the color of their skin. They are not always going to be perceived in a good light.
Research from the American Psychological Association has shown that police are more likely to mistake Black boys as young as 10 as older and less innocent. 12-year-old Tamir Rice was shot and killed by police in Ohio in 2014 when his toy gun was mistaken for a real one. Dr. Tony Evans of Dallas's Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship is also using these latest shootings as lessons for the next generation of young Black men.
I just wanted my grandsons and reminding my sons too that because that propensity is there, you have the responsibility to do everything you can to de-escalate a situation because you never know when it could go left.
He shared about being racially profiled as a teenager.
I was driving in a white neighborhood and they wanted to know why I was there and what right I had to be there. They pulled me over, held me for an hour. And it was just because of the color of my skin.
Pastor Darrell Scott of Cleveland, Ohio, recently spoke on Capitol Hill about the need for law enforcement to end this profiling, along with excessive force. Scott also enlightened Congress on the reasons behind the talk.
I can testify of giving my grandson, who is now of driving age, the talk of how to properly behave if pulled over by police because he had the question of a very real fear of the possibility of death at the hands of police. In fact, my very first interaction with police when I was 13 years old resulted in me being roughed up.
That sentiment motivated Gregg to write Mama, Did You Hear the News?, an effort to help more Black parents facilitate the talk with their kids. In it, she outlines 5 practical steps using the phrase alive to guide young Black youth through their interactions with law enforcement. Meanwhile, Evans believes parents should not only talk about possible mistreatment by police, but also raise their children to be respectful, law-abiding citizens.
We need to make sure we're raising the right kind of boys. We're raising boys who have dignity. We're raising boys who have a spiritual worldview. We're raising boys to respect authority. We're raising boys who are not adding to the problem.
The church, he says, should help guide that conversation.
Well, the church can bring its men and gather all the boys together and say, we want to have the collective talk with you. And therefore we can do that and be an impetus to support the single parents where they need to see a man.
Meanwhile, Gregg is quick to point out that not all cops are bad.
I know that our police officers have a really tough job. They're moms and dads too. They want to get home safely. And I even say we pray for those who wear blue.
Even as she prays for her sons and many others.
I pray not only for protection over them, but I pray that they have discernment to make good decisions and make good choices. It's a constant prayer.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.